right, how slavery, yeah, how slavery was a, yeah, yeah, right. Okay. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. This is a general review of crisis management and what have you. We had some other things in mind, but the last couple of days, the last few weeks, this subject is a fast-moving subject. On the subject of, we just mentioned an African-American armed demonstration in Stone Mountain Park in Georgia. We've talked about many little things and popped up lately, and it's so clear that this is all staged management from Hollywood all the way to here. And it's stage management where it's just like a stage production, like a theatrical production. And no matter what it looks like, I believe it's only about 30% effective. And I'll explain why, you know. First of all, we can see that what we discussed months ago at the very beginning of this reminds us of there will be no Arab Spring in 2000. What we said about this stuff that's going on right now is exactly the way it is. From the very killing of our brother Floyd, it was clear that this was a public assassination. That this public assassination was done to incense the people, to almost force them to go out, to force a reaction. It was just the guy was too calm and relaxed when he was killing the brother. I mean, and it was done, and the police standing around and just going about their business and what have you. Okay, this was done to produce a reaction amongst the people. Now, when we say stage managed, that means it's stage managed from the beginning, the middle part, and what would be classified as the end. When we look at what's going on now, let's refer to this as far as the demonstrations and what have you are concerned, are like close to this is the third act. Yeah, let's call it the third act. This is the third act. The first act is the government studies their police officers all around the country. They study the environment. They study are we going to, they got in their mind what they want to do, right? They got in their mind a production. They have in their mind a production, and then have we done this before? Of course we have. We've done it time after time. Now, when they look at the officers we got an officer up in Minnesota. He's been going through this 17 times, some huge amount. Okay, so we're going to choose him. Okay, now his supporting cast is the police. Are they new? Are they this? Are they that? Will they challenge him for what he's doing? Okay. So they got this in place. When they get it in place, they have to move and make moves to let environment pop up. They had the guy arrested. They had him in the back of the car. They took him out of the back of the car. For what reason? Only Allah knows, but we believe it was to do what they did. They got they're forcing the environment. They're forcing the stage. This is the production. We got it, now we're going to do it. They did it, and the people responded as predicted. Okay, now, in the audience is thousands of people. Although it don't take the number of people that they have involved. For instance, to get something going here in D.C., if you got 5 active agents and production managers, you can almost stage anything. You don't take but 5 people. If you want to destroy an institution, you don't have to have, if it's 1,000 people in the institution, you don't only have to have 2 or 3 or 4 informers in there. They're going to tell you this guy likes him, he hates him, right? And then that's all. It don't take no whole lot of people to do it, but they believe in overkill. And this thing that just happened here in Minneapolis, it produced the environment they want. Now remember, they got it all set up. They got their cast of characters. When they go in and do this, okay. When they start moaning and groaning, and at the funerals, they already got their props ready. Half the time, the lawyers are almost ready. This Negro bald-headed lawyer that I said, he don't sound that smart. You know what I mean? That's what we gonna do. Yeah, then, you know, he don't sound like a very eloquent. No, that's who they want. They want to choose a person that's not very skilled in that stuff. So when they give them a win, they're making him more popular. They're making him the go-to man. So the go-to man is beholden to the system. He knows it and the system knows it. If the system drop him, he'll be back to chasing ambulances or whatever they used to do, right? So everybody, the whole system is on go. At the funeral, I think they got old Sharpton, the same, I mean, the usual suspects. All the suspects are there, you know. So you can see that this is beginning to take shape. When they go out and demonstrate, the first few days, they got let's call them Antifa just for a namesake, you know. Anti-fascist, the white kids that go around burning up everything. Okay, that's what they call them. We call them regular fitna, boss man support actors. And they do it. They do it on every case. They did it on the Women's March. They did it all. That's what they do. Okay, if they were so bad, they'd have their own marches and burn up everything. They wouldn't always fly in on yours. We having a demonstration. Now remember, they're following government orders. Everything is arranged by the government. If you look at D.C., the Women's March, all these big marches, the ones we used to do, and Answer is right in there. Answers, we feel like they're government people. You can tell they're government people because you see where they go after they finish their work in that. Somebody was talking about alternative media. Right, yeah. One of our brothers here, Ayub, knows all the people we're talking about, and he knows the same people by name that was helping in our demonstrations. Then the next time you see them, they're on RT or they're on some type of radio broadcast, and they're right there on alternative media. Because alternative media, the people grow out of the demonstrations and what have you, they grow to alternative media because that's their line. They're going to go there and they're going to be in charge of the mindset of the alternative people, the people that really innocently have an alternative view of what's going on in America. And they're going to have them there to give them what they want. Yeah. They're not going to let any revolutionary show up on alternative media too regular. They sprinkle a few in there to give them credibility, but they don't give them a whole period of time until they test them and see which way they're headed. Then when they begin to fulfill their obligations, then they bring them on in. But back to the demonstrations, we'll kind of pick it up a little bit. Demonstration starts, you'll see them down in Florida, bombing a police car, starting a fire, and you see the media, they go to that stuff. They don't go, the media pays no attention to us at all, or nobody like us. Anybody that's reasonable, And it's not only that they want excitement and what have you on the news, or they'll film, if you see a garbage can burning like up in New York, they'll only show the garbage can burn. Then they'll go to the other garbage cans on the, right? This is just the way, this is all part and parcel of what we have here. This is all part of the stage. So then the stage play, Act 1, they got the brother killed. Act 1, they got all the standbys ready to go, you know, and the curtain comes up and they get busy. As they making their moves and arranging and rearranging, they're also monitoring what they're doing. So if the family come out and say, we don't want no violence associated with the killing of our relative. This is in Minneapolis and it's also in Atlanta, right? Let's forget about the white girl for a minute that burned down the Wendy's, right? And they talking about that white girl, the police and the guy that got killed. What are they doing talking about that white girl, right? How does she get into it? You don't even know if the white girl pretend to go with the Negro and tell him to go park there and the thing, and you don't know how they set it up. Because look, if the brother is sloppy drunk, right, if they say move the car, first of all, he's parked there. Then they move the car, and while he's moving the car, he goes back to sleep after going 2-3 feet, you know, just, right? But when the police is arresting him, maybe it's adrenaline, and we have some idea about adrenaline, but that boy is not in no sloppy drunk mode. You know, when you're getting arrested and you sloppy drunk, you stay sloppy drunk. You know, I've been arrested with drunks, I mean, people that have been drinking a little bit, and if they drunk, they stay drunk. When the police is harassing them, they might get drunker. They fall out in the back of the thing. They stay. You don't jump up and be throwing crisp blows. You know what I mean? And able to take their thing and break out running. All this stuff, it gets a little fishy along the way. This stuff gets a little fishy along the way. Look, here's the thing that's going on. Let's agree that that's arranged. In Act 1, they got all the deaths is moving. Then we look at the public mind. The people are followers a lot. So if certain people encourage they have people all throughout the United States working with people, and they gonna come out. So they bring out basically millions of people. You know, there's huge demonstrations in every city. And after the family makes a statement, then they're all peaceful. They're peaceful. But the things they're going toward don't make no sense. It's a repeat of the Kerner Commission 1967. It's a repeat. We're going to have civilian review boards, police review boards. We're going to influence training of the police departments, because all the so-called riots, they came from police brutality. The Watts riot. In Oakland, the reason the Black Panther Party for Self-Defense was formed to monitor the police when they're arresting people. That's what their purpose was for. Why? Because of police brutality. So police brutality has always been common. And when you see them demonstrations in those days and now, you see they know how to mistreat people. So Act 1 is going along. And then, let's say Act 2 starts. Act 2, or part of the end of Act 1, is why are we here? Now, we went down many times and talked about sit-ins, but teach-ins and what have you. And we did that so people would have an idea of how to manage these type of things. Okay, it wasn't hardly any Muslims there. Well, yesterday there was out in LA, I think, you know. So everything is rolling along. Then all of a sudden, okay, we see that the people are not requesting anything real or anything useful. This is a chance to go through a national renewal of the whole American process, right? That's why when we talked about America, we showed from Frederick Douglass. By the way, they reading Frederick Douglass 4th of July stuff. I don't know if y'all heard it. Frederick Douglass 4th of July. Of course, we read it 30 years ago. We read it over where you at. That's where we read it. We read it a few years in a row. Your 4th of July. But now, they're reading it on NPR, National Public Radio, and they have Frederick Douglass's great-grandchildren reading it. You know, each one is reading a little section. Okay, so America the Great, they said we're going to change. They've been refusing to change the name of the Redskins for 1 million years. We might be ready to change now. XYZ company and team management is talking about getting Kaepernick back. You know what I mean, right? Nancy Pelosi, them, they taking a knee down there. You know, look, you couldn't, you would have to be a comedian to write this script. A mixture of comedian and Nazi type, werewolf type of person. Because American history, I just want to go back a minute. American history, for most of the people except for white folks, have been like old National Negro used to have a song, the white man's heaven is the black man's hell. He was a calypso singer. I don't know if y'all know him. Anyway, and it's true. I had a chance last night. I watched the 3-part series on Washington. You know, old George Washington. It was on the History Channel. So yesterday was my day off. I said, I'm taking off. I'm not going to hardly do, I ain't going to do nothing. Plus it was hot. So I just cruised, and so they had this program on Washington. And with my daughter, I watched Hamilton, because you know Hamilton is come on TV. So they can stream it down or something. Basically about the founding of America and what have you. And they're talking about things we've been knowing about for decades. George Washington had 300 slaves. When he died, he put in his will that when his wife died, all their slaves would be set free and what have you. The Revolutionary War, the fight against Britain. They didn't have too much about the stealing of Indians' land. But you got to